so far all the amplifiers which you have seen are single-ended amplifiers, meaning the output which you get, output was one single line. Okay. Right. Now we'll be looking at a special type of amplifier called a differential amplifier. Okay. And it looks like this. Okay. So this is your differential amplifier. Right. You have load here. Okay. RD is actually your load resistor. Think of it as two CS amplifiers which are connected like this. Okay, which are biased with one current. Okay, which are biased with one current. This is one CS amplifier. This is another CS amplifier. Similarly, this is one CS amplifier. This is one CS amplifier. Right. So it is biased like that, biased with one current I. Okay. So here, generally when we design our differential amplifiers, or let me start from the beginning. Why we need differential amplifiers? Why? Okay. First point is it offers quite a few advantages. One is it is less sensitive to noise. Less sensitive to noise. Okay. Noise and other disturbances. Right. Why like this is, say for example, if you look at this circuit, okay, here if I have some delta V noise is being introduced, okay, because of that noise you have a delta I being introduced here in your current also, okay, and this VDS, okay, VD1 and VD2, those are the outputs of those MOSFETs, the drain to source voltages of those MOSFETs. They will be a function of the drain currents, right? So if I take my output to be VD2 minus VD1, if I take VD2 minus VD1, just a minute guys, class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ.
Sir, my friend is waiting.
Yeah, load. Hey, class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀನಿ.
So can you let Priya in?
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀನಪ್ಪ, ಇನ್ನ ನಾನು ಕಳ್ಸೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಣೋ ಆಧಾರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ, ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು, ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. Sorry about that, let us continue. Okay, so when I take my output to be VD2 minus VD1, right, noise associated which is attached to VD2, okay, and noise which is attached to VD1, when I take the difference of both these voltages, that noise becomes essentially zero. Just a minute guys, ಏನಪ್ಪ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬನ ಬಂದು ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. All right, lot of disturbances, fine. Okay, so if some noise gets introduced to your currents, okay, your VG1, your VG2, okay, that noise will be obviously reflected in your drain currents. When that is when your drain voltage which you take VD1 and VD2, when you take if the noise appears in your drain currents, that will obviously be appearing in your drain voltages, your output voltages, right? Then when I take just VD1 or VD2 as my output, then I have that noise, that delta V component in my output. But if I take the difference VD2 minus VD1, right, that noise components, both of them will get cancelled. Okay, so this way you can actually reduce your noise, okay, by taking a differential output rather than a single ended output, right? So one reason is it is less sensitive to noise. Second reason is I don't have to use coupling capacitors or bypass capacitors when I actually use differential amplifiers, right? So no use of large coupling and bypass capacitances. Okay. This will see, we'll get more insight into why we don't need coupling and bypass capacitance when we actually look at the small signal model of a differential amplifier. All right. Now you might not, it might not be very clear. Okay. But see, fabricating a capacitance on a chip is a very costly affair. Okay. It is not very easy. Right. So, and if it takes a lot of area, then it is a waste of silicon, right? So it is always better you try and avoid as much as possible to integrate capacitors on top of your ICs, right? So instead of using, I can use a differential amplifier instead of a single-ended amplifiers, which we have seen earlier. To avoid using such capacitors, right? Okay. So this is these are the two main advantages why we need differential amplifiers. Another thing is the not so advantage part is that the Q1 and Q2 which you see here, okay, both these Q1 and Q2, okay, have to be properly matched. Okay, have to be, they might not be ideally matched. Means both of the transistors cannot be identical, right? But they should be matched. Okay, they have to be, the GM values, okay, have to be same, GM values and R0 values. Okay, they have to be as close as being equal, right? So this is a MOS differential pair. This is actually called a MOS differential pair. MOS differential pair. Okay. Right. So let us look at some analysis part here. Okay. So second one. Now if you observe the difference between the first diagram, this diagram and this diagram. Okay. What is done in this diagram is I have given a signal called VCM, which is common to both the gates of the MOSFETs. Okay. VCM, right? So here what I do is I have to find something called a common mode input voltage. Okay, so I am giving a common mode input voltage. I am giving a common mode input voltage. That voltage is VCM. Okay, that voltage is VCM. Now if I draw some conclusions from this diagram, right? So from this diagram I can write VG1. Okay, VG1 is equal to VG2 is equal to VCM. Okay, obviously both the gate voltages are given to VCM, right? Then drain currents will be like this. If ID1 is the drain current of Q1 and ID2 is the drain current of Q2. Okay, both of them will be I by 2 and I by 2. Okay, both will be I by 2, I by 2. This is only possible if both Q1 and Q2 are matched. Okay. So for the rest of our discussion with regards to differential amplifiers, assume that Q1 and Q2 are perfectly matched. Okay. So ID1 is equal to ID2 is equal to I by 2. And you have Vs here. Okay, Vs. So Vs here is voltage at source. Voltage at source of Q1 and Q2. I mean, both sources are joined, right? So voltage Vs is voltage at source, right? So this Vs is VCM minus VGS. Okay, so voltage at source is VCM minus VGS. Okay, this VGS, this is VGS, and VGS will be same for the case of both Q1 and Q2. Why? Because the currents flowing are also same, right? So I can write I by 2, okay, as a current, half Kn prime W by L into VOV whole square. Okay, this current equation is common for both Q1 and Q2. Common for both Q1 and Q2, right? So from this, I can write VOV as square root of I divided by Kn prime into W by L. Okay. So VOV here is, I should say, overdrive voltage when current is I by 2. Okay. So VOV here is overdrive voltage of the MOSFET when current is I by 2. Okay. Remember, both these transistors Q1 and Q2 are biased to the same current source I. So the summation of currents seen in both the branches across both Q1 and across both Q2. If I take the sum of them both, it should be equal to I only. All right. So this is VOB, and if you look at VD1 and VD2, it's simple. VD1 is equal to VD2 is equal to voltage drop across RD. So it is VDD minus half, I should say, I by 2 into RD. Okay. Right. So this is the analysis part. Okay. For if you give a common voltage, VCM to both the gates of Q1 and Q2, right? So here we should also look at what ranges of VCM should I give. Okay, it's not like I can give a bigger value and expect this transistor, this configuration to work, right? So VCM, which values we give here, should be in such a way that both the transistors Q1 and Q2 should always be in saturation region. Okay, always remember, Q1, Q2 always should be in saturation region. So we'll look at what is the we'll look at what is the range of VCM, okay, which can be applied to this configuration, to this differential amplifier, right? So I'll remove all this. Right. Now we look at range of VCM. Okay, we'll look at range of VCM. Okay. Now, see, the limiting condition for both these MOSFETs to be in saturation is VDS is equal to VGS minus VT. This we already know. And if you look at drain voltages of all the MOSFETs, okay, they are same. They are nothing but VDD minus 1 I by 2 into RD equals to VGS. VGS is VCM minus VS minus VT. Okay. So in the earlier thing we saw here, see, VGS is VCM minus VS. Right. So the same thing I have written here. All right. So from this, I can assume that VCM max is equal to VT plus VDD minus I by 2 into RD. Okay, this is VCM max. VCM max, right? Similarly, VC min, VCM min should be VGS plus minus VSS. Okay, this value VGS plus this voltage minus VSS plus whatever small drop which appears across current source I. So that I will call it as say some current source voltage called VCS. Okay. So this VCS here is sufficient drop. Okay, I should say sufficient voltage drop seen across current source I. Okay, for it to operate. Okay, right. So this is VCM max and VCM min. Okay, I hope this is clear. So this is the range of VCM. Right. So this is actually a common mode input. So we have given a common mode input VCM, and we have seen what its range should be there. Right. Similarly, what we'll do now is we'll give a differential input, meaning one input I'm going to give VID. Okay, the other input I'm giving it ground. Right. So this one is differential input operation. Differential input operation. Okay. So differential input here means VID is the actual differential input. That is difference of gates, difference of gate voltages. Gate voltages is equal to VID. Okay, that is what it means, differential input. So here I am giving VID to the gate of Q1, and I am connecting ground to gate of Q2. Okay, right. So when I write the expression for VID, so I can write VID as VGS1 minus VGS2. Right, VGS1 minus VGS2. You apply KVL like this. Okay, apply KVL, then you will try and understand. You will get like this, plus minus VID, then here you will get plus minus VGS1, then here you will get minus plus VGS2. Follow the nodes around, then it will look like this. Okay, if you write this in the form of an equation, then you will get VID as VGS1 minus VGS2. Okay, so there are some important things to be observed here. One is, okay, if VGS1 is greater than VGS2, okay, VGS1 is greater than VGS2, right, which makes VID positive. Okay, which makes VID positive. So if VGS1 is greater than VGS2, it also means ID1 is greater than ID2, right, which actually means VD2 minus VD1. Okay, VD2 minus VD1 as positive will be positive. Okay, important point. VGS1 is greater than VGS2, which means VID will be positive. Okay, so if VGS1 is greater than VGS2, ID1 will be greater than ID2. If ID1 is greater than ID2, VD2 will be actually greater than VD1, because this is, remember, if you take one wing, if you take, this is actually one common source amplifier. All right, polarity will be opposite. So more VGS, less VD. So VD2 will be actually greater than VD1. So the difference will be positive. That is what I meant, right? And similarly, if it is negative, okay, if VGS2 is less than VGS1 is less than VGS2, then VID will be negative. Implies ID1 will be less than ID2, and VD2 minus VD1 will be negative. Will be negative. Okay, so I hope till here it is clear. Okay, so what VID does is it will actually cause the current to flow uh, among the transistors. I mean, if VID is more positive in one case, in case of if VID is more positive in case of say more positive, then it means that VGS1 is more than VGS2. Means that all the current, this entire I will actually flow through this wing, and the current which flows here is 0. Okay, if VGS1 is very much less than VGS2, that is if VID is negative, means all the current will actually flow here and no current will actually flow here. So it is like a balancing act. Okay, clear? So by with the help of this VID, you can actually steer the current from Q1 to Q2. Okay, with the help of this VID, you can steer the current from Q1 and Q2. So whichever MOSFET requires, say suppose you are taking a output at Q2, right? Then obviously you don't need any current here. Okay, which means that this VID, okay, which means that VGS2 should be more than VGS1. Okay, which makes VID negative. Right. So all the current will actually flow here. Okay, because I'm giving you the example of if you are taking a single-ended output. Right. Right. Next, let us assume that make a copy of this. Not required. Okay. Let us assume that all the current, okay, current I flows through Q1. Okay, and of course, according to this diagram, VGS1 is obviously much greater than VGS2. VGS2 is practically 0, right? So all the current will actually flow through Q1 only. So I flows through transistor Q1. Then I can write I as half Kn prime W by L into VGS1 minus VT whole square. Okay, VGS1 minus VT whole square. My current equation, right? So from this I can write VGS1 as, okay, if I square root of 2I divided by Kn prime into W by L. Okay, and this VT will go that side, so VT plus. Okay, so VGS1 is VT plus this, and if you remember the formula for VOV, which we derived earlier, VOV here is root of I by Kn prime into W by L. So this VOV, always remember, it is for I by 2, right? Then in that case, I can rewrite this as, I will rewrite as VGS1 equals to VT plus square root of 2 into VOV, okay, where VOV is overdrive voltage for I by 2, okay, for I by 2, right? Now see, if VGS1 keeps on increasing in such a way that ID1 will become I, okay, then in that case VGS2 will actually decrease to VT. Okay, what I meant is, if VGS1 increases such that ID1 approaches I, okay, means all the current is flowing through Q1 now. There is no current flowing through Q2. So VGS2 will actually reduce to VT. Okay, it will actually reduce to VT. Okay, which means that now VGS2, if you look at VGS2, it is nothing but VG2 minus Vs. Okay, Vs is this voltage. VG2 is anyway grounded, so this is nothing but minus Vs. Therefore, Vs I can write it as minus Vt. Okay, so there will be a minimum voltage for the channel to be present. That's it. Okay, and through that channel there will be no current flowing through, because all the current is flowing through Q1 only. All right. Then in that case, we define VID max. What is the maximum value of VID? As this VGS1 plus this Vs. Okay, VGS1 plus Vs. So VGS1 is Vt plus square root of VOB minus Vs minus Vt. Therefore, VID max is square root of 2 into VOB. Okay, square root of 2 into VOB. Okay, I'll duplicate this. Okay, so let us keep this in as 0.1. Okay, this one as 0.1. This I'll remove all this. I don't need it. Right, now what we got was, we got VID max as square root of 2 into VOV, where VOV is square root of what was it? I divided by Kn prime into W by L. Okay, right. So this is this VID we get assuming that VGS1 is greater than VGS2. Here the assumption is VGS1 is greater than VGS2. That is the assumption here. Right. Similarly, what happens if if I get like this, minus square root 2 into VOB. Okay, so here what happens is VGS2 will be actually greater than VGS1. Okay, which means that here you are connecting VID and here you are giving it to 0. Okay, now in this case VGS2 is much greater than VGS1, which means all the current will flow through Q2 rather than flowing through Q1. All right. So the range of VID is, it is actually like this, from square root of VOB less than or equal to VID minus here square root of 2 into VOB. So this is the range of VID. Okay, so your VID should lie between minus root 2 into VOB and root 2 into VOB. Right. If it is minus root 2 into VOB, all the current will flow through Q2. If it is root 2 into VOB, all the current will flow through Q1. So you should make sure that whatever differential voltage is being applied to your differential amplifier, okay, that should lie between these two values. Okay, right, understood? Okay. Another important point here I want to mention is put this here. Okay, so another point I want to mention here is if your VGS1, okay, which you calculated earlier, okay, we got that as Vt plus square root of 2 into VOB. Okay, this is what VGS1 is. All right, when VGS1 is this much, for VGS1 is this, ID1 actually, okay, ID1 will be actually I, okay, which means which means Q1 is on and Q2 is off. Okay, this is the point I wanted to make. VGS1, which we derived earlier in the earlier slide, okay, we derived it as VT plus square root of 2 into VOV, right? All right, so for that VGS value, your ID will be I, okay, which means that that particular transistor is on and the other transistor is off. In this case, VGS1 is this value, which makes Q1 as on and Q2 as off, and vice versa. Not vice versa exactly. Let me write vice versa. It's not vice versa, sorry. The other condition is if VGS2 is VT plus square root of 2 into VOV, then ID2 will be I, which means Q1 is off and Q2 is on, right? So this is the thing which you have to understand here. Okay, so for this condition, Q2 is on and Q1 is off. Okay, Q1 is on and Q2 is on and Q1 is off. Right, so this is the range of VID. Okay, we'll stop now. The next class we'll look at small signal operation. Okay, from there on we'll carry on with CMRR. Okay, common mode rejection ratio. Then from there we'll see what effect R0 has on your CMRR, what effect your RD has on CMRR, what effect GM has on CMRR. Okay, we'll further explore the small signal model of a differential amplifier in the next class. Okay, on Monday. Right. Any queries till now? Any queries? Right, then in that case